Society hates us. We know we're disposable. We know we mean nothing.
Faites droit aux faibles et à l'orphelin. Rendez justice aux misérables et aux pauvres. Sauvez le faible et celui dans le besoin. Ceux qui nous regardent de l'extérieur se demandent comment est-ce que les femmes et les jeunes filles deviennent impliquées dans la prostitution. Qu'est-ce qui les amène jusqu'à ce point? L'histoire de Tricia et Shona vous aidera à comprendre ce qu'elles ont traversé. Tricia a grandi dans une famille de classe moyenne. À cause du passé de ses parents, Tricia dit que leur mariage était voué à l'échec.
The police would come to the house and it would be trashed, and by trashed I mean trashed, and my mom would be bloody, and they would say, "Is anything wrong?" And she would say no, and they would leave, because in those days it was up to the woman to actually file charges. So she stuck it out as best she could for her own reasons, but we definitely suffered the consequences of all of that. So by the time I was 13, I already had addiction issues, and I was volatile, very volatile. So just before my 13th birthday, I was taken into government care. So that is where I learned how to exchange sex for money and all of that kind of stuff. You know, he really likes me. He's really great. And aren't I so cool because I'm 13 years old and he wants to hang out with me. If I didn't sleep with him, I wouldn't have gotten food to eat. I wouldn't have been allowed to stay there. I wouldn't have been, quote unquote, safe. I wouldn't have had the alcohol to drink. I wouldn't have had the drugs to do. You have to understand, like 90% of women, what you would call our pimp, are our boyfriends. Like, it's only afterwards that you realize, oh, he didn't actually love me.
Shona était exposée à l'alcool et à la drogue à un très bas âge.
What would I have to do? And he explained, oh, not much. You just have to service clients, and that's no different than, you know, meeting them in the bar and taking them home, except for you're going to exchange money for it. I thought, well, hey, you know what? I've done worse in life by giving it away, and so I need money.
L'attrait de la drogue, de l'argent et la promesse d'amour et de sécurité amènent les femmes et les jeunes filles vers la prostitution. Un nombre important de ces femmes et jeunes filles sont autochtones. Pourquoi sont-elles si vulnérables face à la prostitution? Marginalisation, pauvreté, abus exubérants, influence vers ce style de vie par un membre de la parenté pour gagner de l'argent, de la drogue, de l'alcool. Toutes sont des raisons qui contribuent au déclin des victimes les plus vulnérables du Canada. Pourquoi ces femmes et jeunes filles qui sont agressées sexuellement ne peuvent-elles pas sortir de ce style de vie horrifique? Amanda et Crystal sont deux jeunes femmes qui sont devenues amies avec Tricia. Amanda faisait partie d'un ministère où elle allait donner du chocolat chaud dans le centre-ville de Vancouver, forgeant ainsi une amitié avec les femmes se trouvant dans la rue. Tricia ne voulait rien savoir d'eux.
And she pursued me wholeheartedly. And she walked into the middle of my ugly. She just walked into the middle of my ugly and just was. She said, if I found a way to pay your bills, would you leave the streets? I was like, absolutely not. I have a grade 7 education. I don't have education. I don't have anything that people need to survive and interact and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have a bank account. Like, I didn't have what most people just take for granted, right? And I just looked at them and I realized that this is my chance to change their lives, right?
Se sentant coupable, Tricia a décidé d'aller à l'église avec Amanda et Crystal.
She dropped us off this Sunday, and I was leaning against my back balcony, and I was having a smoke, and I was on the phone with her. And it's just that epiphany, right? It's just that he died for me. I think I do. I get it. Like, in my mind, I could physically see where Jesus was right beside me and he was weeping. Like, I got it. And I just never looked back, right? And I got to spend the next 5 years surrounded, like completely immersed in a community of women who would do whatever it took. Like for 2 years, every Friday night, I knew that if I went out on a Friday night, I'd screw up. So every Friday night I stayed at home. And it's like, okay, God, I'm gonna hang out with you because you have to get me through this, right? Because I need to get through one more Friday night, and then if I have enough Friday nights, I'm just gonna be over this, right? And we can move on.
It's not that life changed in one day. It was that the time between screw-ups got longer and longer.
Pour Shona, la mort de sa mère et l'amitié d'une voisine ont été les facteurs qui lui ont permis de quitter la prostitution.
One day I was asked to perform an S&M act, and I only wanted to do it because of the money, and that time I almost killed him. That was incredibly eye-opening for me to think that I could have killed somebody. That was the first big moment I had to say, I've got to get out of this business. But it wasn't that easy. I had to continue working. I have children to support. I have no education. I don't think anybody's going to hire me with the label prostitute written on my forehead. My mother, she knew all along what I was doing, and she didn't like it, and her dying wish was that I got out of the business. What happened next, which was the pivotal moment, was the next door neighbor had befriended me. And her sister had invited her to church, to a banquet, and it was Alpha. And she begged me to go, and I said, well, I think the church would probably have a lightning strike it if I walk in, but I will do you this favor and go. And that is where I met Jesus, and he turned my life around. That was pivotal.
Miché 6-8 pose la question « Qu'est-ce que l'Éternel demande de toi ?» La réponse, agir avec justice et d'aimer la miséricorde.
Oh, poor her, she needs to be rescued. Yes, they do, but it needs to be out of a place of standing up for them. Not just, let's house and clothe them.
What can we do? And I would say that what I've seen on a website done by Defend Dignity is the best information that you're going to get on how to do this. So, number one, education. Become educated. Don't be afraid to talk about this subject. Bring it into your churches, bring it into your small groups, bring it into your families, bring it out in the open. Jesus worked with prostitutes. He wants them out. Why don't we? Why are we so afraid of this? You can also lobby the government, and right now their fighting is still towards legalization. You can send letters to your MPs, your MLAs, pushing them, and push them hard that you don't want this for Canada, that you don't want legalization to happen.
I think the most important thing any one person can do is stop for the one in front of them. It's that simple. How and not with any expectations, right? We are women who are in leadership. You're in leadership. You have more power than I do. Like, not coming from a place of, we're just average, what can we do? You need to harness the power that you have, realize that, and mobilize that, right? An ally with other NGOs, other faith-based groups, other feminist organizations, other grassroots organizations, and don't focus on what you don't have in common, and focus on what you do have in common, and choose to join from that thinking. But we can ally strongly on this, so let's run together.
Sans attente, défendons les autres. Défendons la dignité des femmes. Soyez une voix pour les muets et combattons pour la justice. Si votre propre fille, sœur, nièce ou amie était une prostituée, attendriez-vous pour vous impliquer?